I basically heard about Generation One from the work that I'm doing with the Australian Employment Covenant at the moment, and the entwining of the two organisations, Generation One and the Australian Employment Covenant. Naturally, I've heard of it through that process. Where I think Generation One's going and what it's going to achieve, I think it's really creating a sense of hope and opportunity that change can occur. Not only, I would hope, not only for Indigenous people, but for the wider community. When it comes to Indigenous issues, it is largely seen as an Indigenous problem or a government problem, which we heard earlier today. But the reality is there's a lot of problems in society that go across the board, and it's mainly based around socioeconomics. And unfortunately, Indigenous people are at the lower end of that scale. And it's our country. This is our land. And we're here as custodians of this land, and we've been marginalised in this space that's our own. And it's from that perspective, I think it's the impact on our society is greater than what it is for others, because you're really destroying the desire to be part of the wider community once you've been so marginalised in something that really is where you belong. I think Generation One is really going to provide an opportunity for change in that space where Indigenous people can say, well, no, we can be part of this society, we can move forward. But also for the wider community to realise, well, there's reasons why the Indigenous community is where it's at, and it's not just about the fact that they're drunks or they're thieves or whatever it may be. There's a line in a video that I quite often show when I'm running some cultural awareness programs, and the narrator talks about drunk, ignorant welfare bludgers played upon by a minority of black demagogues. And I think to a large degree that's what non-Indigenous communities see Indigenous people as. It's those stereotypes that are out there, and human beings are human beings across the board. It doesn't matter where you're coming from. It's the desire within that makes the difference, and that's really where we need to start. The trick to any cultural awareness is really about treating people as individuals, thinking about their life journey and the impact and implications that's had on where they are today. If you can treat a person as a human being and engage with them, anyone can move, anything can be shifted. It's really about that engagement and treating people as it's one thing to say treating people as you want to be treated, but it actually goes beyond that, because people have different ideals and values around that stuff. It's treating people with the respect and understanding. We've talked about tolerance too often. Tolerance is great, but if you're the person being tolerated, it's not a great place to be. And when in Australian society for too long, our politicians, our leaders have all talked about tolerance when it comes to cultural difference. We need to move away from that. We need to start talking about acceptance. We need to look at the differences and accept, okay, this is the way it is, but we want to shift. We want to shift people. We want to shift these stereotypes. Let's look at the underlying problems and how we might be able to do that. Let's look at those societal issues that we have and start treating people as individuals and treating them with the respect, with reflection of their life journey. Not trying to put them all in one basket and say, this is the way they are. Because it's the individuals that are making the difference. It's the individual that comes into your business that is going to move it forward. And it's their values, it's the way they're treated through your values that are going to make it work or not work. So you can't once again say, no, it's Indigenous people have, this is a stereotype out there. It comes back to the individual. It comes back to understanding that life journey. I think too often, the reflection is on the stereotype. You can pump out any number of stereotypes you like of people, depending on what situation you are, what culture you're in, what community you're in. But the reality is, it's the individual. I had employed an older Aboriginal person in my business he'd worked as a spray painter panel beater, but he got RSI and he couldn't do it anymore, and he was out. There was no way he was going to get back into the workforce. I put him on as an administration person. He'd never worked in an office before. Within 6 months, I had him writing business plans. And it was because I was mentored him through that process, admitting that to a large organisation, one of the big mining companies, as part of a community program that they were working on. They said it was the best business plan they'd ever seen. Now, that business plan wasn't written by somebody with a university degree. It wasn't written by somebody that had even finished high school. It was written by a person that was a spray paint or panel beater all his life, and I took on as an admin person and I mentored him. So it's about working with them, working out where they want to go. This person now, he's managing community projects, and he thought, yeah, there's no way he'd ever work again. So it's really about working with the individual and seeing where they want to go. I think there's a few things. As Indigenous people, you need to understand when you're dealing with the employment market and businesses out there. One is they just want somebody that's ready to work, that's got the skills to work, and is going to turn up. And if you can show that commitment, they'll offer you work. Now you can say, yeah, racism, people aren't going to employ me because I'm black, whatever. The reality is most business owners are out there are happy to look at anything, the majority of them. There's a minority that are going to be in that box of, we won't do it because we don't want a black fella here. But the majority of them are going to be open to this. And I'm seeing more and more goodwill out there for Indigenous employment every single day, ever since the apology. And I'd say that was the big turning point. As Indigenous people, we need to step up to the mark and drive forward, and not be scared. Not be scared of saying, of hearing, no, sorry, you're unsuccessful. Knock on the door again. Knock on another door. You have to keep trying. It's that persistence that will get you the job. Showing that determination, showing that drive. And that's what people really want to see. If you show some initiative, as a business owner, that's what I want to see. As a business owner, I want to see somebody come to me and say, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to see some change. It might be totally irrelevant to my business, but if I see desire there, that's something that I can capture and work with. That's something that I can utilise to drive them forward as well as my business. It's that inspiration and that desire they have, and that motivation, and it's how you harness that's going to make the difference. So just keep being persistent, keep trying, keep driving forward, and don't get scared.